So we are recording now. The question I asked in the chat was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think tonight's challenge went? We've got an 8, we've got a 7, we've got an 8. I'm going to share my screen quick. Those of you guys that have been around for a while, make sure I get the right. We have lots of different resources for you guys. This is a file that we email out. So if you guys have not heard of this, or you guys have not had a chance to download this, I'm going to put this in the chat. Fearless Warrior. Oh, you know what? It's not going to hyperlink for you guys. fearlesswarriorprogram.com/CTCC is our Conversations to Create Confidence guide. And what this is, you guys, is this is our parent guide for parents to be able to talk to their daughters, have tips. And then the really cool thing is we take the guesswork out of it for you guys. We actually outline, and I'm actually going to share my screen now that I popped that link in there. We literally outline conversation topics for you guys. So if tonight's conversation was forced or awkward, as a coach, one of the biggest mistakes that I made is I only talk to my athletes about softball and the games that we have coming up and the things that we needed to work on. And when you start to understand that there's so many more topics that you can talk to your athlete about, like tonight's activity, like go garden, go watch a movie, watch Netflix, do something that is not attached to softball. We created a conversation guide for you guys to have conversation starters that may not be related to softball, but are related to life skills. So there's questions about confidence, there's questions about their friends, there's questions about teachers. This page is amazing because you're going to hear and help support them on whether or not they feel intimidated or scared or nervous with coaching, and then really start to tap into what are my fears? What are my frustrations? Without saying, hey, what are you thinking in the box? Right? You're going to immediately get defensiveness. But if you kind of keep this in the back pocket and say, hey, I'm going to pull out some of these conversation starters and just ask her, you're going to find out what she's thinking. So that's like the whole guide. But the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, sorry if I'm scrolling really fast, really briefly tonight, I just wanted to draw your attention to our parent conversation framework. This is something that we teach in almost all of our parent trainings. We talk about this, and we've worked with counselors, we've worked with sports psychologists, we've worked with mental skills coaches like myself. And one of the worst things you can do is we want to immediately go in and give them our advice. We want to tell them what we think. We want to fix their swing. We want to fix their pitches. We want to tell them, just relax out there. And we have to flip that. Now, guys, I royally messed this up my first years of coaching. I was a young coach. I was the head coach of a high school program for 3 years. If I could go back and implement more of what I've researched and learned, game over. This is how you guys do it. So when we want to share our perspective, you'll notice that that's number 3. So the first thing, guys, is I'm proud of you or I love you. Don't assume that they know that. Tell it to your children. Tell it. Say it. I'm proud of the way that you cheered, even though you weren't playing tonight. I'm proud of the way that you played shortstop tonight, and I know you normally play second. That must have been really hard for you, right? Find ways to praise them that feels authentic without it being cheesy. And then once you open up that dialogue, then ask them, hey, and then this is where you can use a conversation topic. You can use one of my favorite, I went to a coaching clinic, and Tori Tyson, if you guys aren't following Tori Tyson on Twitter, amazing coach, Tori Tyson, Tyson. She actually played at the University of Nebraska under Rhonda Revelle, which is one of my amazing mentors. This is what she preaches, and like her Twitter is full of this. She literally calls her players her babies. Like she just loved on them, and they had a phenomenal season. And she dealt with some really big life adversity this year. So her coaching technique, and I loved this because she was a pitcher. Her advice was, hey, what did you feel on that? It's specifically for pitchers. So if you are at a pitching lesson and you can tell your daughter is just frustrated, instead of saying something like, well, why isn't your rice ball working? Or come on, like throw strikes, like it's not that hard, right? The things that we want to say could sound like, hey, what did you feel on that one? Or how did that pitch feel? They may give you an emotional word. They may give you a physical word, like just something just feels off physically. Ask them, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? And let them tell you. I don't know how much you guys know about the generational patterns. I'm technically a millennial. Your kids are Gen Zs. Gen Zs want input. They want to tell you how to write your lineups. They want to tell you where they think they should be playing. They want to tell you where you're going to eat for dinner. They want to tell you that they want their bedroom in the basement and that they want these Birkenstocks, or I want this Instagram, or this, like they'll tell you what they want. And so when they crave that type of autonomy, ask them, how would you solve this problem? What do you think you should say to coach about this situation? Ask them, they'll tell you. And then ask if you can share your perspective. So literally, would you like to know what I think? And they can say yes, or they can say no. And if they say no, be like, okay, well, I feel like I could give you some really good advice here, but if you don't want it, let me know if you need me. I'm here for you. And watch their eyes light up when you give them that autonomy. And I guarantee you, if something's frustrating them, they're like, okay, fine, I'll ask mom. And a lot of you guys, we're noticing with Gen Zers, you guys, this scares the crap out of me. You guys view your relationships with your Gen Zers as best friends. Can you guys put this in the chat? How many of you guys have heard your daughter tell you that they're your best friend in some sort of fashion, which can be really, really cool and really, really difficult in the same scenario? Because I don't have a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old yet, but I can imagine that would make discipline difficult. It would make conversations difficult because you're riding that fine line. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. If you get nothing else from tonight, we teach this on every single one of our parent workshops. I will be quiet now and literally just open it up for some really authentic conversations and some hot seats. Yeah, go Brian. Okay, and iPhone. I don't know who iPhone is, but you're going to start to see that as your girls get older. So just the parent conversation framework is huge, you guys. All right, here's the awkward part of the call. Whoever wants to go first, we'll sit in silence for a little bit. And as you can imagine, I'm a talker, so I'm going to stretch the silence. How can I help you guys?
I think one of the things that we've run into is at the beginning, I guess, of my daughter's, she was a freshman, made varsity, and the coach said, hey, it's kind of an open competition. You two battle it out. And gets to my daughter. She tells my daughter, basically, you're going to sit the bench because you can't hit. She said, that's the only thing holding back. You can't hit. And so she sat the whole season. And now that we're into tournament ball, it's in her head that she can't hit. Although she's hit every year before until now. And she really is like this last tournament, man, she played great defensively, but in her head. And then, so it doesn't matter. So I tried really hard to not say anything in the car, and
yeah.
and it's so hard to like, hey, you got this, kid? She's like, no, I don't. Coach already says I can't hit. I'm like, oh. So I feel defeated, so it's like, how do I get her to look past that? And, even if I've shown her videos, like, here's where you've hit before. It's like, yeah, well, it's not now.
Yeah, which is great. The brain is going to use historical data. So the more that you can give her that historical data, the more that it's going to hold more weight than just, well, your dad, of course, you love me. You have to say that I'm a good hitter. You're the one that pays for hitting lessons. You're the one that buys my bat. Of course, you're going to tell me I'm a good hitter. How can you empower her to challenge? We always talk about challenge those thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're giving her proof of why she's a good hitter, maybe you flip it and say, okay, great. What proof does that coach have that you're a bad hitter? Talk to me about, like, let's hash this out. What proof does she have that you're a bad hitter?
Well, that what's frustrating is she only got 4 at bats all season. And
Right.
she got on base 3 of the 4 at bats. It's like, but you can't hit.
Right. So
And
that's
one of
the
those a
really
home run.
cool. Yeah, that's the really cool conversation is you're not leading with that. You're leading with, well, what proof does she have that you're a sucky hitter? Like, do you have proof of that? And
Right.
see what she says. And then she's going to say exactly what you said. Well, I only hit 4 times, Dad. Oh yeah, you're play dumb, right? Like
Yeah.
make her feel like it's her idea and challenge those thoughts and say, is that really true? Right. And that's what we do on our coaching calls all the time. Gosh dang it. My husband made fun of me. I have had our spaghetti jar on my desk all week. I've been meaning to film a video for the girls. One spaghetti is easy to break. That's a thought. We have to challenge those thoughts. Once a bunch of spaghettis get together or pencils, they become a belief. This has become a belief. She believes that she's a bad hitter. So we have to slowly break apart those moments where she has those thoughts. So continually push her. Is that really true? Is that really true? Is that really true? Because that's not what I'm seeing. And then proof. She can't negate, the home run. She can't negate the stats. The other method that I would say is really powerful is fast forward. What's her goal? Regurgitate that goal to her. Hey, what's your daughter's name?
Ari,
what's the end goal here? Like, maybe that coach is right. Maybe we do quit. But I know that's not what your goal is. What's your goal? Have her say it. And she'll say, Dad, I want to play college ball. Dad, I want to be a starter. Dad, I want all these things. Great. Are you going to let that coach decide that for you? Like, when does that coach get to decide that for you?
right.
And so again, the more that you can prove to her, challenge her, and then you can empathize with her. If this will nail it home. Have you had a boss or a situation or a relationship in your life that did something similar? You might have to tweak or stretch it and say like, hey, Ari, you know what? I've been thinking about this. This has happened to me too. You want to know how I handled it?
Yeah. It's true. I mean, yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I know I threw a lot at you. This is recorded. We tell our athletes in our sessions all the time. Anytime someone is on a hot seat, when you're in the moment, it's like, you don't have time to write notes. Definitely go back, rewatch this, take some notes, send me a DM. If you get lost or you need additional resources, we're here to help.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you. And y'all, you know what we do when someone goes on a hot seat? Whoop, whoop. Because I know it's nerve-wracking. It's really nerve-wracking for the girls when they're on a coaching call. So thank you. I didn't catch your name either.
Shane Jensen.
Awesome. Shane, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Shane went first, y'all. So now you know it's not scary.
Hello.
Hi.
I guess we're on a little bit of the other end of what Shane was talking about. So our daughter Aspen, and it's also with batting, like if she doesn't make contact or hit, like the frustration, she comes off the field and we can see it. And we don't, I guess, know how to help her manage the emotions. And she's still young. I mean, she's still only 10, but I just feel so bad for her because she's so frustrated.
Yeah. So their thought process is growing. So just like they're growing, 2 or 3 inches a year, their frontal cortex is growing. So the most simplistic way that I can explain this to you is every emotion is attached to a thought. So when we have emotions about being sad that we lost a loved one, it's the memories and the thoughts that are attached to that. If we didn't have those thoughts, we wouldn't have those emotions. It's the meaning that we're placing on those emotions. So if we reverse that and we say, okay, great. Aspen, is that your daughter's name?
Yeah, sorry.
So if you say, hey, Aspen, I'm just really curious, right? Same thing, play dumb. I'm just really curious. I really want to help you with this. What's going through your head when you get up to bat? Now, the key to this, you guys, is this applies to any situation, do not ask these questions in the time frame of before the game or after the game. Save this for like bedtime. Save it for the kitchen dinner table. Save it for Sunday morning after church when you're at brunch. Like, hey, you know what? I've been thinking, I'm just really curious, what's going through your head? And that's the awareness piece. So a lot of you guys are going through Mental Skills Challenge Week this week. The whole point of this week is to bring awareness to them. Notice you guys aren't doing the challenges. Your daughters are doing the challenges. So they're realizing, ooh, I have negative thoughts. So I'm curious, did anything specific, like a specific thought, come up on Monday or Tuesday's challenges?
The only thing, like, she self-talked about like out loud for like the balloon one at first.
Okay.
He was like, this is hard, I can't do it. But
Okay.
then like she was like, no, I'm doing it again. So she had like a couple different times and she got better. She's like, oh, I guess I did okay. And then the only other thing that she kind of really said was like, I feel like I can do it now, but then kind of like in practice. But when it comes to the game, like I can't.
Yep. Yeah. So recognizing and saying, hey, I understand that you would be frustrated. I would be in tears too if I knew that I could do it in practice and I got emotional in a game and I was telling myself I couldn't. And just saying like, look, Aspen, you've just started, like we've only been doing softball for however long you've been doing softball. Do you believe that, hey, just like that balloon challenge, do you think that with practice, this will come natural in games? And it sounds like she's pretty motivated and pretty like go-getter. She's probably going to say something like, well, yeah, mom, duh. Okay, well, how do we tap into that when you're in the box?
Okay.
Because at this age, the hard part about that age is like, we try to tell parents, it depends on the maturity of your kids, but the 9 and 10-year-olds that we've coached in our programs, it takes a couple rounds. It takes time. When we have older kids, they've got the physical side established and it's like all mental. And once we solve that, it's like game over. They graduate from Fearless Warriors. It's like all of a sudden they're playing lights out. The younger girls, it's like physical's growing, mental's growing, we're maturing. It's like this like ladder effect. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. And she loves it. And we just want to make it still that she loves it and fun and not crazy frustration and pressure on her. But she's always been like this. She's like, she hates to lose. So
right. And again, challenge that thought. Is that a bad thing that she hates to lose? Well, what's good? Why is that a good thing, Aspen? I know that this frustrates you, but what's the good in this? If you're frustrated, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
It means that I care, mom. It means that I want to get a hit, mom. It means that I, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the more that you can, and the conversation guide is going to help her too, of like, where do you feel confident? And like, do you believe that with practice, you'll get this? And then that will start to ease that expectation on her as well. The simpler, the better for that age. So a deep breath when she goes up to bat. A lot of the skills that we teach they can be up and down the slider scale of the complication level. So like, instead of teaching them how to do a box breath or a 3-2-1 cleansing breath, like she's 10, one big breath, blow, like smell the flower, blow out the candle, like support, love, simplify it for her. And just those constant reminders of challenging those thoughts, right? Like, hey, you have proof of the balloon challenge. Is that really true that you can't do it? Or do you just need more time?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that was an awesome question. I'm sure that was helpful for other parents too, in different contexts. Pretty cool.
Yeah, we sort of struggle on the same one. We got a 12U, she's a catcher.
Okay.
And if anything goes wrong on the field, even if it's not her fault, she just breaks down. I mean, runner scores, runner beats out the throw to second. I mean, she'll just start crying on the field and has to get pulled. I mean, it's getting to the point where she's riding the bench more than anything, just because she can't get her emotions under control.
Sure. And what I would encourage you to think about is it's not about controlling the emotions. It's about letting them pass. And when you allow her to have that storm, the storms will get shorter and shorter. So, like I have a 4-year-old and he's in bed next door. So I have to be a little quiet. If I tell him stop crying, it makes him cry more. Now, granted, that's a 4-year-old, but his storms could last like 3 to 5 minutes. Her storms maybe last, I don't know how long how long are these emotional?
If she starts breaking down, I mean, yeah, I mean, it could last a couple innings.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But she gets one good hit and then suddenly it's flipped and she's happy again.
Yeah, it's contingent. It's that committed with conditions on our quiz, that identity that we talk about. I'm going to share screen quick. This is in our Agape training that's in our parent portal. Can you guys see that rainbow wheel?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is that we want to have emotional security, emotional safety. When she knows that she's okay to show her emotions, you can start to coach her through of like, okay, if she's younger, if we're talking 9, 10, like anger, sadness, super simple. As they get older, you can move out the emotion wheel. If you can get her to name those emotions and she can say, well, I'm just really disappointed. Or maybe I'm just exasperated. Like I'm angry because of my teammates, or I'm angry because I'm shameful. Like it's my fault. Or,
yeah, that's a lot of it. She doesn't even have to be involved in the play, but if someone scores, she thinks it's her fault.
Yeah. So the more that you can bring awareness to her and start to get her to name this, the other thing that we can do is, so like I said, the storms, if you talk to her about a storm, right? The question that we ask on athlete calls a lot is, hey, does anyone like rainy days? Does anyone here, any parent here like rainy days? I know there's only a couple of you on camera. Like, I don't mind a rainy day every now and then, but society tells us that rainy days are bad and sunny days are good. There are people that don't like sunny days. They don't like hot weather. I like 99-degree weather. I like bacon in my car. Some people don't like that. And so it's the idea that there's good and bad emotions. There's no good and bad emotions. It's an ebb and a flow. And so if she's sitting in the dugout telling herself, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, it's going to make the storm rage longer. Versus if you say, okay, great. You've named your emotion. You figured out that you're just really frustrated. You're exasperated. Great. How long do we want to be exasperated? How long do we want to be frustrated? Are you going to give yourself 10 seconds? Are you going to give yourself an out? Are you going to give yourself an inning? And then the goal is to start to shrink how long it takes her to really let those storms rage. There's a couple of like Team USA players, and there's lots of posts about this out there. It's also called the 5-second rule. So as they get older, I mean, we're talking high school, college age, you make a mistake, the best of the best of the best, College World Series, they're making errors. I'm going to be pissed. I am on the College World Series, the biggest stage in the world, and I just biffed this ball. Of course I'm going to be upset because I'm a competitor and because I've put so much time into this. I'm allowed to be frustrated. 5 seconds, I'm going to face if I'm shortstop, I'm going to face my left fielder and I'm going to just for 5 seconds. And when I turn around, storm's over. Again, it's like a hitting lesson. It's like a pitching lesson. It's like a catching lesson. She's not going to get this right away. You guys have to help her with this. And my team and I can help her with this. Any of the things that we're coaching you guys on tonight, I don't want you guys to feel like I'm throwing this all at you and then here you go, like row your boats. You guys are all on your own little islands. We have so many resources to help you guys to navigate this. So did that help? Or did I throw a lot? I know I throw a lot at people.
No, it helped. It's just a matter of trying to get her to do it and listen.
Yeah. The first thing is to just start with naming the emotion. Because oftentimes when they're developing, they don't even know why they're angry. They're like, I just, ugh. They don't even know that they're angry, or maybe they're sad, or whatever that is. Just simply starting to get her to name those emotions will be helpful.
One of the things I learned was kind of letting them have the conversation in the car too. And that was it. I learned after having my oldest daughter go through, who was a pitcher, and pitchers are in their head about everything. And then I have my other daughter's a catcher. So I learned to not ask questions about like, well, hey, what happened in the second inning? Or because I found that we would get like this in the car, and then it'd be like, it'd be just angry in the quiet car right the rest of the way home. And because we don't realize the pressure that they put on themselves, because they know they're out on the field and everybody knows. And so I've learned to not ask the questions like, hey, so what was happening on that play? And finally she popped off one time, I was like, yes, Dad, I really intentionally meant to throw the ball into the dirt to watch the runners go score. I was like, okay, I got you. Like, leave it alone. But that was one of the hardest things for me to learn. And so like I'm a parent and coach now for my daughter's the catcher. And so I've been really trying to work on, I say, hey, look, I don't coach you. I'll let the other coaches talk, they handle you. I'm dad. Yeah. So I'm just here to vent. If you got to vent, let me hear it. And so I've been trying to really work through that. And so that's been an interesting dynamic. So
yeah, that's amazing. And saying like, again, do you want my advice? They might want it. They might want it. And just like catching yourself and say like, I'm so sorry. I started giving you advice there. Like, I'm sorry. Do you want my advice? Do you want to know what I think is so powerful? Again, guys, I've done my fair share of royally messing this up as a coach. I am prepared for parenting. Knock on wood. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Super awesome, you guys. This is why we switched this to Zoom, because this community, like, this is why we do what we do.
I think the one thing, and kind of from hearing what some of the other parents are saying, is getting them, like I said, to let it go when something happens. Like in our last tournament, we had the other team was already kind of in pool play, was kind of blowing us out. And one of the girls comes by, kind of like, there's no need to, but ran into my daughter's catcher. And the blue tells us afterwards, he goes, I saw it, but I didn't think it was that big a deal. And then my daughter's like she knocked my helmet, my glove almost off me. And then, of course, when she gets in the dugout, she's like, I'm so mad. It's like, hey, you have to just move on. Like, you can't hold on to that. And so I think that's where I'm at. I want to give her that confidence. Hey, when you're up at the plate, because she held on to that when she had to bat the next inning, she was still mad about getting run into, that she didn't let that go, and just kind of a snowball. So, and I'm trying to get her in that mindset, like, hey, let stuff go, move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that conversation is really cool. We just had this conversation with who did I have that with? One of the teams that I'm doing team training with. A lot of them are in Texas, and they came off of their high school season. Mm-hmm. And the question that I asked the older girls is that all it took to knock you off your horse? You're going to let that girl's mean comment knock you off your goals? Or you're going to let that other team that we like butted heads with in pool play, you're going to let them affect this game?
Yeah.
I'm just asking a question, y'all. I'm not like, you tell me and walk away, and then they'll start. No, we're not. They crave so bad. They want the autonomy. They want the power. Yeah. Questions are awesome. How can you get them to think and own it themselves? And at any age too. This is what's so fun about this, guys, is that we're a half hour in and it doesn't even feel like it. So if you guys have to pop off, thank you guys for being here. I will stay on for about 10 more minutes. I got to unlock tomorrow's challenge and set up some emails. So let me have it. Don't feel like you guys have to stay on. I think did Sunday we always do screenshots, but I won't make you guys do a screenshot. Coach Garth, we're heading into nationals here in Canada as my coach with eldest daughter. If we win here, oh sweet, Little League World Series coming up. Feel like in addition to touches and streets, thinking of spending a fair bit of time focusing on emotional resilience, drowning out the noise. What else do you think we should consider? Great question. I think trust is going to be huge for you guys in that really having the conversations with them of softball is softball is softball. So whether we play in Canada, whether we play in the Little League World Series, the bases are 60 feet, the mound is 43 feet. It's the same field. One of the more that you can help them understand, like, we've prepared for this. A field is a field is a field. The stage is the same. You guys have everything you have in you. And I love that you guys are going to talk about emotional resilience and bouncing back and drowning out the noise. Coach Candrea describes it as marching butterflies. Gosh, you guys could have so many amazing skills that you guys could use. Coach Garth, if you send me a message, I would love to do a team workshop. I have some time. Well, this is the busiest time of the year, and then I'm taking a week off for a friend's wedding, but will you send me an email or a message? I would love to give you guys some tools and some help. If you want to book a team workshop, we do actually do team workshops. I can give you guys some really tangible tools, but on a very basic level, I would just help them to understand we've prepared for this. That's where our confidence comes from. Trust the training that we've put in would be huge for them. And so how do we send a DM? So if you guys are on Facebook, if you send us a message, Hannah is kind of managing the DMs for me, but I do see them. So if you guys have specific questions, she'll make sure to connect with me. I am really bad. I'm really bad about checking our customer support email. Abby usually does that for me. So I'm going to give you guys my personal email. fearlessfastbitch.com. Amanda at fearlessfastbitch.com. So Coach Garth, shoot me an email. Let me know. Shane, was it? I think. If you guys have any follow-up questions or questions, this is a really busy week because we put on this massive event to grow awareness. And then we're opening doors to enrollment for our program on Sunday. So Sunday through Thursday, we're going to be onboarding our next group of Fearless Warriors. And then after that, we're launching our next round of team training. So a lot of teams are going into off season. We take the exact same program and we do it with teams on live coaching calls. So my calendar is going to get crazy busy, but we can definitely schedule team workshops. If you guys want to do team training, if your daughter's an individual, we'll be sending out more information on our Fearless Warrior program and all of that. But tonight's focus really is like, how can I serve you guys? How can I coach you guys? Get you guys wrapped up, get you guys finished through challenge week. And I'm sure you guys will have lots of questions too, as far as the program, which we'll talk about that when that time comes. How do you help a 10-year-old drown out opposing coach? Ooh, tough one. Left his team. No reason other yeah. So, Rachel, I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. And I'm sorry that there's coaches out there that ruin coaching for others, because this is what causes the girls to mistrust other coaches that have really good intentions. Again, so 10-year-old, we have to be careful because they're developing their emotions, they're developing their thoughts. We don't want to shame them, acknowledge and say, I get it. Like, if I was in your shoes, like, yeah, honey, this would get to me too. Totally normal. It would throw me off. It would distract me. I would be frustrated, right? Name the emotion, meet them where they're at. And then again, having that conversation, that link that I sent above to get that conversation guide, really just asking her and saying, like, what do you think about this? And how do you want to respond to this? And her response might surprise you, but you might have been getting conversations like, Mom, I don't know. Or maybe you see it and she's really stuck. That's where you can come in and say, do you want my advice? And your advice, Rachel, is going to be amazing compared to mine because you're in that situation.
Right. So like that first time, we've played them once since she left the team. And the first inning, she fell apart and on the mound. We got out of the inning. She ended up sitting the second inning because she was still upset, crying in her head. I got her dad on the phone and her new coach, and they had kind of like a little pep talk. And she came in the third inning and allowed one walk, one hit, which resulted in an out. And then she struck out two of their big batters.
Cool.
She struck out their biggest batter. And, I figured that would help. But now we're potentially playing that team this weekend, and she does not want to play them because of that. And we've already told her, like, you've already struck out all of their big hitters.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's really nothing to fear. Yes, he might talk, but you know that you can do it. We think that he just wanted his daughter to be the star, which is unfortunate. She's a great pitcher, but you can't have one pitcher in a whole tournament.
Right.
So she doesn't want to do it. And this past weekend, there was a chance we could play that team, and she shut down before we even knew if we were going to play them. We weren't even playing them, and she was already thinking about it.
Yeah. Yep. And really, I think about really just honing in on that praise. That sounds like that was really effective to get dad and the new coach on the phone. How old is she?
She's 10.
Yeah. So again, like I tend to overcomplicate it a lot at that age, but I'm not in that situation you are. And so, your child best. And if she really if her love language is praise and that worked, really key into that and really acknowledge. One of the other things that we do in our programs is we do color personalities for them. So sounds like she would be a blue. And so if she's feeling that emotional state, even before the game has happened, you can regulate her nervous system by really saying, name the emotion, acknowledge that emotion, and praise her through that as it comes up. It would be the same, like, what would you guys do if your daughter was afraid of heights and you knew that you had to, whatever, if you were staying on the 7th floor of a hotel and she had to, things happen outside of our control. How would you coach your daughter through a similar situation? It's a very real fear for them.
It is something I would probably emphasize in that situation too, is let her know, hey, we're playing these girls. We're not playing that guy over there. He's not on the field, is he? He's not doesn't have a bat in his hand. And I would just, like I said, find the praise, man. If she throws 2 strikes and 4 balls, be like, man, those 2 strikes were amazing. Those look great. Hey, baby, can you give me 2 more just like that? And emphasize those things right there. I'm really sorry your baby's going through that. We've been down that road. It's not fun. But when you find those moments, like, hey, you're playing these girls over here. Hey, play the girls. Don't worry about that guy. Again, he's not on the field. But I know it's as a parent though, it's gut wrenching as you're going through it, because your baby's going in the car and they're telling you, and they're just unleashing every emotion that they have. But again, praise, like I said, 2 strikes, and if they out of 10 pitches, I'd praise those 2 strikes. So
I love that. So awesome. Rachel, how are you feeling about this?
I'm feeling pretty good. She's really good at what she does. She just struggles with confidence and fear.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And pitching is just one of those positions. It is the ultimate mind game, because the ball's in your hand. Everybody's watching.
Mm-hmm. And she's gotten so much praise from so many coaches about her pitching. I used to be a pitcher myself. I know it's hard. I know the mental game of it. I was terrified. I had the same fears as she did. My biggest fear was taking a line drive back at my face. We didn't have face masks back then.
Yeah.
You know, she's afraid of the ball coming back at her. So those big hitters intimidate her. But again, she can strike them out. She's done it before. It's just getting her to acknowledge that in the moment and not fear it and just hit them straight on. You know, it takes her a while to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep acknowledging how she's feeling. Tell her that, right? And I'm sure you've had those conversations. You like, babe girl, I have been in your shoes, you know, you're not alone. And maybe a question too that you could ask her is, hey, you know, I was on this parent training and I had a couple parents tell me that their daughters dealt with the same exact situation that you're dealing with right now. So you're not alone. And sometimes that can help too, because they feel shame and alone when they're like, I'm never going to get over it. Like, I'm the only one that thinks this. They don't want to admit it to their teammates. I guarantee you some of their teammates have the same thoughts, but they're not, especially at 10, they're not talking about it. Well, maybe they are. It depends on how open your kid is. We have these thing called egos. They start early. Very cool. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that you just don't play that team too. That would be amazing. And then another.
I kind of do, but I kind of don't.
Yeah.
You know,
Either
because I
way.
want her to go right at them, but at the
Yeah.
same time, mentally, like you say, they're still developing. And if that type of thing is going to mentally destroy her, because as good as she is at ball, I don't want her to quit. But if her mental game gets destroyed at this age, there's a chance. And I just don't want to see that for her.
Yeah. Yeah. And telling her that too, like, I'm here. This is my goal for you. I know that you can do this, and just keep praising. I love Shane's advice on like in the micro moments of like this strike or this, you know, like even not even waiting till after the game, like praise her in the moment. For sure. Okay, you guys. Thank you, Rachel. Whoop, whoop. I am going to sign off, but this is not the end. If you guys have follow-up questions, you're like, oh, I should have asked this. You guys could even post in our Facebook group. We have parents that will post wins. We have parents that will post when they're struggling. And the cool thing is that when you guys post in the Facebook group, I'm not the only one coaching you. Y'all are going to jump in and comment and say, hey, oh, I dealt with that situation. Or, you know, you guys are going to give each other amazing advice too. That's the exact reason why this community exists. So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are troopers. This is a big week. Whether your daughter's done one or all the challenges, like we just want to really emphasize to the softball community that the mental game doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be taboo. And we can make it easy. Like we do everything step by step. We're constantly building resources, making our programs better, making our events better, making our paid programs better, our free events better. Like the feedback that we get from you guys is amazing. So keep leaning in, keep showing up for the challenges. You guys are awesome. And I'm so proud of you guys for making this a priority in your daughter's lives, because they're going to hang up their cleats one day and they're going to be resilient, freaking amazing, badass women. I don't normally cuss. I don't cuss in front of the girls or on my social media, but that's how I feel. Like this is my passion in life. So thanks for letting me share that with you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow at our final Facebook Live for the challenge. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.